It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, we've talked a lot about how it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's this awareness month. And you texted and said, Dave, don't forget, it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
It really is. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it's we share this month with a lot of different really worthwhile programs, don't we, and advocacy. But unfortunately for our society and our people, domestic violence in just continues to increase to be 1 in 3 women are victims, 1 in 7 men are victims, and those numbers seem to continue to climb, and it's just so devastating for all of us because no one's exempt, and I think it's time. October's a good time to say let's take a pause, let's think about this. How can we as a society do better? How can we as families do better, and how can we help each other and get these people out of it?
You're kind of known around here, Sheriff, as the Purple, the Man Up campaign. Where did all that come from, and how long ago did that start? Well,
thank you, Tristi. It's God's work. To be honest with you, it's 11 years old now, and I was just coming out from undercover work for 6-7 years as an undercover officer, and some really bad things, and. I went to my wife, Jeannie, one day, and I said, you know what? I said, God's compelling me to do something about this. Every house I go into, every search warrant I go on, every case I work, there's one common denominator, and there's domestic violence in these households. And, of course, there's criminality, but there's this. And she goes, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to start a foundation. And I said, Susan G. Komen did it. So it can't be all bad. And she goes, well, you're out of your mind. I said, I know that, but I'm still going to do it because higher authority said I had to. So that's kind of how it was born. And I came up with the title. I said, I want people to be a call to service, the Man Up Crusade. I want it to be a crusade that we can all join in, and, whoever it is. And she goes, well, that's a nice name, so that means making awareness now using purple,
brilliant.
Making awareness now using purple. And
you married a brilliant woman.
She's brilliant. She really is. She married way down, but she's brilliant. Love her to death. And so, but it's so appropriate because purple is the color of choice of victims and survivors of domestic violence, just as pink is for cancer.
Okay, all right.
Now, coming up on the 3-year anniversary of the whole COVID thing.
Yes.
I can only imagine that as everybody was stuck at home, did that kind of intensify some of the domestic abuse issues here in the Treasure Valley?
It did, and throughout, not just the Treasure Valley, throughout the state of Idaho and the nation, quite frankly. And we all kind of held our collective breath as COVID started. We're like, oh, how's this going to go? Especially law enforcement, because we're the responders to these calls, but also working with our advocacy groups, and it kind of dropped there for 2-3 months, and then it unleashed, and then 6 months in, and then a year in, then we started to see the numbers dramatically climb, and actually those numbers are still going up. And what happened was people were not able to feel comfortable enough to get out to their family, friends, law enforcement, etc., and report. So they were kind of more closed in. You're spending more time with the quote abuser, whether that's a man or a woman, because there's both. It's not just men, right? And so that kind of happened, and then really, of course, the economic side of it. What causes friction in a relationship? Economics. Number one thing typically, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, when things go bad. So we're really still struggling with that as a community, as a community of our state. And we're hopeful that the month of October, shows like yours, we can get people to stop and think about how dramatic this is and what it's doing to their children, what's it doing to your children. Right. How do we get these children out of this cycle? Because that's unlike cancer. My family's full of cancer. My family's died of cancer. Thank God, right? He has medical science provided to us, and we can treat a lot of forms of cancer.
Yeah.
The only treatment for domestic violence is to stop it. is to break the cycle of the next generation of children. That's the only treatment there is. There's nothing, there's no magic pill, there's no radiation, there's no nothing that can stop this, and it's really incumbent upon us as a society to say, we've had enough of this, and these children don't deserve this, and this my daughter, my wife, my cousin doesn't deserve this, my son doesn't deserve this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And when you look at this national statistics, it's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. That's a staggering number. And CDC, who tracks this, is moving that 1 in 3 to 1 in 4. So you're talking about 25% maybe. And I always bring this up because I love the fact that we support the color pink and the month of October, and because again, my family's riddled with that. But Susan G. Komen had a vision, and she had the courage to say, we can talk about this, right? We can talk about this. And I feel the same way, the parallelism. And as I go around the country and I speak about it here in the state and wherever, when I say, look, there are more men who are victims of domestic violence in 1 in 7 than there are women diagnosed with breast cancer, 1 in 8. Put that number in your equation. Not to belittle or minimize, but I'm just saying that is a staggering number. And then 1 in 3 women? We're better than this as a society.
Are there practical things, Sheriff, that we can do? I mean, like right now, we've known someone that's gone through this and is out of it. But right now, currently in my own life, I can't point to anyone who I know is going through this. But is there something I can do, or people like me that we want this to stop for other people? You know what, Dave? It's an excellent question, and actually there is, because you, like me, we have the pulpit. You have a radio show. We can talk about this. You're a family-oriented show, Christian show, and we can talk about this. And so even though you don't know someone, I can assure you most of your listeners do know someone. I can assure you of that. Yes. That they know someone, they have a family member. And so what you can do, what you and Tristi and I can all do, is encourage those listeners to reach out to those people and say, you know what, we understand what you're going through. It's a very difficult thing to talk about, but make that inroad, and then get the help to the people. The Family Justice Center of Nampa, the Boise Rescue Mission Women and Children's Center in Nampa, the FACES in Boise. There's resources. And, of course, law enforcement. We respond to this. This is literally up to 50% of every call of service, 911 call that we respond to in the United States every day is domestic violence in the United States. So if we took that out, look how much less busy we would be and what a greater society we would have, right? Agreed. But it's about, we got to talk about it. When Jeannie and I started this program 11 years ago, and of course we partner with Professional Rodeo, and we're with the PBR, and you see those programs when they come through town, but we're now in, I think, 14 states and 30 some events a year, and it's a matter of talking about it at that event, before the event, after the event. But it's a movement, it's a crusade to get us talking about an issue that is going to take all of us to solve. Absolutely. As I hear you talking, Sheriff, I just, you were called into this mission, this crusade, you said, by someone I couldn't say no to. You knew that God was calling you to this work. And I think that same courage that it takes to answer the call of God is something that anybody who knows God has. You have that courage in you to ask the question of your friend, is everything okay? Yes. It's not because you have the courage inside of you. It's because you know the one who has the courage to give you. So whether it's to ask that question, whether it's to finally say no more, whether it's to break that cycle, that's a biblical thing that we do. We break the cycle of sin in our lives because we are serving God who made the universe, who gives us the power, not just to be a wearer of purple, but to have the courage to have those conversations. And so I thank you for answering that call. And I just encourage anyone to know that power is with you as well, because we serve an amazing and powerful God.
Well said. Well stated. That was fantastic, and I could not agree with you more. And people always ask me, well, how'd you get into this? And God asked me to do it, and I can't argue that, and you can't convince me otherwise. Yeah. And I'm so proud of what we have accomplished, and I'm more proud of what Jeannie has accomplished as our executive director. I'm the chairman, I'm the face or the voice, but really she's the backbone of the program, right?
Yeah,
but
she's the horsepower.
She's the horsepower, but it does take everyone, you're right. We are people of faith, and of course we want to share our faith with others and that strength, and that's what God's asking us to do. And this is not easy. This has been taboo forever. It's their business. They're not going to get involved. And it can be dangerous at times. But look how much danger if we don't get involved. And these, again, for me, Tristi, the focus is the children. And I always tell, Jeannie, I obviously speak about this nationwide. And I say, I just want to change the world. That's all I want to do. I just, and I think we can. But really, it's about changing the next generation of children, because there's in a lot of ways we've lost some of this out there, but we can change the world. Look where we've come in 25 plus years with cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness, etc. Because we started talking about it. Because we said, you know what, collectively we can do something. We can do this too. And, corporate sponsors and private sponsors and donations, this is what it's going to take to do this. And we just got to keep that message out there. We're a nonprofit, right? I mean, we know what a nonprofit is, but even at that, over the last 10 years, we've raised and given over $250,000. Jeannie's, the head of our program and our board of directors and our volunteers throughout the states. That's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money to those that we've given it to, right? To help keep the lights on at a domestic violence shelter or women and children's center. It's a lot of money to them, and we're graciously proud that God's allowed us to do that.
Yeah. We need to let you go, but wondering if you could do one thing for us right now. There's a man, there's a woman listening right now, and they're right in the middle of that abuse, in the middle of that battle. What would you say to that person right now?
There are people who are willing to help. There are agencies that have the courage to step out. It's scary. It's economically scary. It's pressure scary. There could be children involved. There may be pets involved, but there are professionals that are willing to help. There are good people, and it's take that first step and get out of there, because it's only going to escalate and get worse. And we're here. We're here to help. And if it comes down to it, call law enforcement. Law enforcement can help guide you. It's not a bad thing to call law enforcement. We're the good guys. We're here to help.
That's right.
And so, but there is a man and a woman out there who know what I'm talking about. And God bless you. We are here, and there is help. And take that first step. And if, Tristi, to your point, if you know someone, take that first step. Tell them that you care and that you're willing to help them, and stay with them all through that process.
Yeah. Sheriff Donahue, thank you. God bless you and the work that you're doing.
God bless you.
It's always an honor to have you here.
Well, it's my honor to be here. I think very highly of you and Tristi and your whole program.